What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about 2021 because the new year is just a couple days away, and already it feels like something is different. It feels like the next generation of gaming is truly about to begin. The PlayStation 5 has now been released, the Xbox Series X is of course hitting store shelves, and there's a lot of rumors about some sort of new version of the Nintendo Switch, possibly a Switch Pro. And as these console makers get ready for the new generation, it also feels like developers are beginning to make experiences that are even more insane. And honestly, this last couple days, I've just been staring at everything coming out in 2021, and I am so filled with hype. So what I want to do today is just take a look at things that seem like they could be the best games coming up, at least the ones we know about. Let's start off by talking about Monster Hunter Rise. Now this project looks incredibly freaking fun. I love the Monster Hunter series in general because I think it has such a great gameplay style. The idea of trying to get together with your friends, hunting down giant beasties, and then of course crafting bigger and better weapons, that has always been fun. But this one seems like it has almost a cutesier art style than we've seen in a minute. I like the fact that it is such a bright and colorful adventure and something I'm going to be playing co-op for possibly hundreds of hours. I'm certainly excited for it. Now going from that to a game that's probably going to be smaller, but definitely has my attention, there's Deathloop. Now, I'm a big fan of time loop storylines. I read a lot of books about it, but the kind of trope is basically the idea of somebody getting stuck in a constantly repeating day, and the only way to escape it is to try and, finish the mission or accomplish a task. And Deathloop plays as an assassin where he has to try and kill these main people on an island within 24 hours, or time keeps skipping backwards. If he messes up, time resets. If he dies, time resets. And I'm curious to see how this is actually going to play out. What we're going to be doing to try and make this 24 hours last into being a bigger style of thing than it may appear from these early teaser trailers. Now, this next game is actually one of the most hyped projects in all of 2021, but honestly, I'm just putting it towards the start of the video because I want to rant about it, which is Resident Evil 8. Village looks fantastic. The fact that we're bringing the Resident Evil series into this outbacks of Europe and we're going to be fighting werewolves and stuff, the game seems incredibly top-notch, and I know this is one of those things that I'm going to be trying to get every single trophy, every single achievement to do a full master file, because I was actually completely in love with Resident Evil 7. This feels like a very new generation of horror, and I'm glad that Capcom has decided to try and evolve with the times. They're not just trying to make classic games forever. It's so cool to me that the series manages to still feel so modern when it has been around for literally decades. Now, this next game here is definitely one of the most mysterious. It's one of the most vague, which is Breath of the Wild 2. Now, we still only have this 50-second teaser trailer for it, but there is a bunch of rumors that the game itself is nearly complete, or at least it seems like it could be coming out probably in winter of 2021. Now, randomly this week, for some reason, I've decided to go back and start a completely new save file on the original Breath of the Wild. Going through this game again, it's so ambitious. I know this is such a cringy way of describing it, but it does feel like Skyrim Zelda. It feels like an ability to climb mountains and craft items and cook yourself food and hang glide around. I still think that Breath of the Wild is seriously one of the best Nintendo games ever made, easily one of the best Zeldas ever made, but it also sets the stage as to what this direct sequel is actually going to be like. This has always been a franchise that's obviously been ambitious and stuff, but some of my favorite Zelda games are the direct sequels, like Majora's Mask, so I'm curious just how dark and fun this game is going to turn out to be. Which reminds me of Far Cry 6. Okay, so this is a huge leap. The fact that we just went from talking about cartoon adventures on a Nintendo platform to brutal, chaotic anarchy, but I've always been interested in the Far Cry series. Every time I play a Far Cry game, I'm blown away by them because I feel like they're just such a good representation of total freedom. It's an ability to drive where you want, blow up what you want, be who you want, and this next game seems like it's going to be a lot more chaotic. I am very, very curious about this game, and I hope it has more online functionality because playing the last couple games in the co-op modes, those have been extremely fun, and now I'm definitely going to blow up everything I can in this new sparkly frickin' damaged planet. Speaking of damaged landscapes though, we have to talk about Horizon Forbidden West. Okay, I'm a huge freaking fanboy for Horizon Zero Dawn. The first game was so freaking top-notch. I am so hungry to see where this character goes next. The main protagonist, Aloy, she's always been somebody that seems so freaking just motivated. I really appreciate a character that seems like they want to save the world at any cost. The fact that she's taking on humongous dinosaur machines with a bow and arrow and a spear, like, the game is incredibly fun. I am so addicted to the rhythm of it, and this new game is probably going to be even bigger and even better. I mean, I'm already excited. This might be one of my game of the year. Like, I hate to say that from only a teaser trailer, but just knowing the developers over at Guerrilla Games, this is an incredibly good looking project, and I already have so much trust and so much faith that it's going to be a very, very epic experience. Switching gears from that, I want to talk about one that seems like it might be a little bit tumultuous, an experience that might be a little bit broken, but I'm still just very, very curious what form it's going to take, which is Halo Infinite. Now, at this point, there's been a bunch of bad rumors, there's been a bunch of crazy leaks and stuff that Halo Infinite is having a lot of problems, but this is part of the reason that I'm extremely curious about it. I want to see how fast the game is, how good the multiplayer is. I mean, Halo Infinite seems like one of those games that's getting delayed and pushed back, and it's getting reformed in its own way, but the final product might be amazing. So I'm definitely curious to see what the first true next-gen Xbox game ends up looking like. I mean, right now, we still really have no idea. Alright, now this next one, I'm totally cheating. I'll admit, this is a cheat. God of War Ragnarok. Now, we don't even know for a fact that God of War Ragnarok is 100% coming out in 2021. We only have this very dramatic logo, but I am certain that that thing is coming out. And more than that, I think this might be a freaking groundbreaking experience. And I say this as a classic God of War hater. I honestly grew up thinking these games kind of sucked. Like, old school Kratos to me was such a boring freaking old dude. Like, it was just such a boring concept. But I thought the one we got a couple years ago, it really managed to reinvent the way I pictured Kratos. It managed to reinvent the way I kind of thought of this entire mythos. And honestly, Ragnarok is probably going to be completely nuts. The idea of hunting down even more gods, maybe fighting all sorts of new pantheon, like, the game is going to be completely mind-blowing whenever they decide to reveal it. And I do think it's coming this year, and I fully believe it is going to be a nutsoid experience. Okay, so now it's time to talk about my number one game. The biggest experience I think is going to completely blow people away in 2021, and that is Final Fantasy XVI. This game seems like it's going to be a complete reinvention of RPGs. It seems like this might be something that is going to really try and push the boundaries of fast combat, crazy combos, and hopefully some talent trees. Now, some of you know this, my favorite thing in my entire life, and I'm being dead serious about this, is reviewing games. I love making my stupid game reviews. There is something so addictive about trying to beat the game and do the side quests and explore every little nook and cranny. I am more excited to review Final Fantasy XVI than I may be excited for anything else in my life. Like, I want to play that game so freaking badly just to try and find every secret before anybody else on the planet. I want to play that game practically more than I want oxygen in my lungs. The fact that it's coming out just a couple months from now, maybe hypothetically, has me so beyond hyped out of my mind. But what do you think? This has just been some off-the-cuff thoughts about some of the games I think have the most ambition, the most cool ideas behind them. What are you excited about in 2021? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.